let's be clear. I'm not here to be your motivational speaker, and I'm certainly not selling you some course on positive thinking. No, I'm here to open a specific dossier, a case file. One that proves wealth isn't just about hustle or finding that one magic stock tip. It's about something much colder, the rigid, unyielding mechanics of your environment. So today, we're going to conduct a clinical examination of a man named Andre, and in the process, we're going to dissect the brutal mathematics behind a very, very difficult decision, the decision to fire your friends.
But before we open that file, I want you to do something for me. A quick diagnostic. Go ahead, pick up your phone, open your call log, your messages, scroll through the last 5 people you had a real conversation with. I'm not talking about a delivery driver or spam call. I mean the 5 people who make up your social orbit. Now, do a little calculation. Estimate their monthly income, add those 5 numbers up, and divide by 5. So, how does that average look compared to your own salary? If the difference is less than, say, 10%, you're in a trap, and you probably don't even realize it.
All right, let's open the file. This is Andre. At point A, he's in Belgorod. His salary is stuck at 50,000 rubles a month, and it's been stuck there for 8 years. Think about that. 8 years of going nowhere. His life is just this constant low-grade financial anxiety. Now, look over at point B. He's in Moscow. His income? 375,000 rubles a month, and that's not even counting his trading. He's got 6.5 million in liquid capital, and his mindset is one of financial calm. Now, he didn't win the lottery. He didn't get some big inheritance. He just pulled one single, incredibly difficult lever. He performed what he calls a sanitary cleaning of his life. To really get how Andre made this jump, you have to understand the trap he was in. It's something I've seen with client after client, and I have a name for it: the concrete ceiling. It's this invisible barrier holding you back. And the crazy part is, it's built, brick, by the people you're closest to. You know, the thing about this concept, it's just brutally simple. The concrete ceiling isn't some complex economic theory you need a PhD to understand. It's a simple mathematical reality. Think of it like this. When the financial gravity of your inner circle is pretty much the same as yours, you get stuck. You're trapped in a feedback loop. All those shared worldviews, the same old complaints, the same financial habits, they all harden, they calcify, and they form a ceiling that feels impossible to break through. And here's the tough part. You built this prison, and your friends, they're the wardens, and they probably don't even know it. So let's really get into the mechanics of this trap. We need to rewind back to 2018 and really look at the texture of Andre's life before all this changed. We have to understand the anatomy of his stagnation, the state of what I like to call toxic comfort. Andre's life back then was like Groundhog Day. It all revolved around one ritual he could not break. Every single Friday night, he'd meet the same group of guys at the same cheap bar. And the conversation was always the same, just a closed loop of complaints about their bosses, about gas prices, about how the system is rigged. You know, it feels like friendship, like just venting. But looking back on it, Andre calls it what it really was: anesthesia. They weren't relaxing. They were numbing the pain of their own inaction, the pain of watching life just pass them by. In that circle, the absolute peak of ambition was getting a new iPhone, on credit. Their financial world ended at their next paycheck. This whole social dynamic is so common, it actually has a name: the crab bucket effect. It's simple. You put one crab in a bucket, it'll climb right out. But if you fill that bucket with crabs, any crab that tries to climb gets immediately pulled back down by all the others. They literally ensure a collective failure, a shared fate right there at the bottom of the bucket. Now, here's the crucial point. The other crabs don't pull the climber down because they're evil. Andre's friends weren't villains plotting against him. No, they were just protecting their own egos, their own worldview. Every time Andre brought up investing, or maybe switching to IT, or even just reading a finance book, he got hit with this wave of defensive mockery. Oh, that's a scam. We didn't live rich, so don't you start. See, if Andre had actually succeeded, it would have shattered their reality. It would have forced them to face the terrifying idea that maybe their stagnation wasn't the government's fault or their boss's fault. It was their own. As long as Andre stayed in that bucket with them, their own failure felt normal. It even felt justified. You know, most people only break a cycle like this when a crisis hits. They get laid off, a divorce. But Andre's escape was different. It wasn't emotional. It was clinical. He didn't go on some spiritual retreat to find himself. No, he opened up an Excel spreadsheet and he ran a full-blown forensic audit on his friendships. So what did he do? He started by downloading his bank statements for the entire year. And the pattern, well, it jumped right off the page. It was all there in black and white. That 5,000 rubles for the bar tab on Friday. A little temporary escape, right? Then the taxi home in the middle of the night. The greasy food delivery on Saturday to deal with the hangover. Cinema tickets on Sunday to just numb that dread, that feeling of Monday creeping up on you. The numbers didn't lie. His social life was bleeding him dry, to the tune of 30,000 rubles every single month. Now, some people might say, well, that's just the cost of having fun. But when Andrei added it all up, the picture got a lot darker. 360,000 rubles a year. In a city like Belgorod back in 2018, that wasn't fun money. That was a down payment on a small apartment. It was serious seed capital for the stock market. It was an escape hatch that he was voluntarily nailing shut weekend after weekend. But the true cost? Oh, it was so much bigger. Andrei ran the numbers. If he had just taken that money from 2018 and put it into a simple S&P 500 index fund, by 2026, that capital would have grown to almost 2 million rubles. In purely mathematical terms, his friends were drinking his future. Every round of beers was just another piece of his financial freedom, dissolving into thin air. And the audit showed him something else, something even more painful. Andrei realized that in his circle, he was the smartest guy in the room. Now, that might feel good for your ego, but for your growth, it's fatal. He was the one explaining how interest rates work, how to set up a Wi-Fi router, how to get a tax deduction. He was an intellectual donor. And what was he getting back? Gossip, complaints, recaps of the evening news. He was paying 30,000 rubles a month to be intellectually drained. So the diagnosis was clear. The question was, what's the treatment? Andrei knew he had to get out of that room. But how do you actually do that? How do you perform that kind of social surgery? The guilt can be overwhelming. We're hardwired to fear being alone. For our ancestors, getting kicked out of the tribe meant death. But here's the thing about the 21st century. Loneliness won't kill you, but a toxic environment will absolutely kill your future. So Andrei came up with this tactic, and it's something I now teach my own clients. It's called the soft refusal. Step 1, you don't make a big announcement. No dramatic speeches at the bar about how everyone is dragging you down. Step 2, you just run out of time. When that Friday invitation comes, you don't say, I'm trying to better myself. You say, sorry, I've got a deadline, or I'm studying for something. You become politely, consistently unavailable. Step 3 is just to brace yourself for the reaction, because it's coming. First, they'll be offended, then comes the mockery. Oh, look at our little millionaire, too good for us now. You have to just let that wash over you. And finally, step 4, silence, because eventually they'll just stop calling, and the procedure is complete. Now, the source material here recommends a kind of triage. There are 3 types of people you need to surgically remove first. First up, the professional victims. For these people, everything is always wrong. Just listening to them for 2 hours a week is like spending 2 full work weeks a year just absorbing pure negativity. Second, the critics and the theorists. These are the people who have achieved nothing themselves, but they've got a PhD in why all of your ideas are doomed to fail. They're just killing your ambition to make themselves feel better about their own inaction. And finally, the time consumers, the gossipers, the aimless partiers. They are burning your most valuable asset, your time, in the furnace of their own boredom. Okay, so once the cutting is done, you hit the hardest part of all, the vacuum. It's Friday night, your phone isn't buzzing, you are completely alone, and that silence is deafening. Your brain will scream at you to just go back to the familiar warmth of the swamp. This is where most people break. But you have to understand this one critical thing. You cannot build a skyscraper on a rotten foundation. You have to clear the site first. That silence, it isn't emptiness. It's a construction site. It's the space you need to figure out who you are when you're not just an echo of other people's complaints. Andrei made it through the vacuum. He used that quiet to study, to plan. And then he started the process of finding a new room. He went to business breakfasts, industry conferences, financial lectures. And this is where he started to adopt the actual psychology of wealth. In these new rooms, he felt something powerful, something specific. He felt like a total imposter. He was surrounded by people talking about markets and yields and things he just didn't understand. He felt small. He felt stupid. And most people run away from that feeling. But Andrei, he learned to reframe it. He called it the imposter syndrome signal. Feeling like the dumbest person in the room isn't a sign that you've failed. It's a sign that you have finally found a room where you can actually grow. You're no longer the donor. You're finally the one receiving. The real power of this new environment became crystal clear during the 2022 financial crisis. Andre's old circle, they reacted with pure, raw emotional panic. They were screaming everything is lost and literally running to ATMs to pull out cash. In his new circle, in the IT world, the reaction was the complete opposite. They were calmly drinking coffee while the markets were bleeding out. One of his new colleagues just looked at the charts and said, "Great prices, it's a sale." They opened up Excel to calculate what they should buy. Andre admitted he was scared too, but he just copied their behavior. He borrowed their nervous system until he could build his own. And that one act of mimicry saved him hundreds of thousands of rubles.
But maybe the biggest change was the shift in his financial baseline. Back in Belgorod, making 100,000 rubles a month was some impossible dream. In his new circle, 300,000 a month is considered the hygiene minimum. That's a powerful term, isn't it? It's not wealth. It's just the basic requirement to function, to cover rent, food, and your basic investments. When your entire environment treats that as the starting line, your brain just stops making excuses for why it's impossible, and it starts engineering ways to make it happen.
But look, there's a price for this kind of transformation. It's the cost of success. It's when you go home for a holiday and you run into an old friend, and he looks you up and down and says, with just a little bit of a sneer, "You've changed." That's the ultimate manipulation. It's one last attempt to pull you back into the bucket. But Andre's answer is perfect, and I want you to remember it. You haven't been spoiled. You've outgrown the box. Staying in that old circle out of guilt, it's like amputating your own legs just so you can fit back into a box that makes other people feel comfortable. Which brings us to one final directive. I want you to think back to that little test from the beginning. Look at your 5 closest contacts. If it's true that you are the average of your environment, and believe me, you are, then what does your future really look like? You don't have to be cruel, you don't have to be arrogant, but you absolutely must be a ruthless accountant of your time and your energy. You have to conduct the sanitary cleaning. Go where it's scary. Go where you feel stupid. Find a room where you are the least knowledgeable person at the table, because that is the only way the math is ever going to work in your favor. This is Mr. Ledger. Guard your capital, but guard your mind even more closely. The vault's closing.